Hi all, I hope you're having a good weekend. It was really nice spending time together on Friday. I believe that as a group we're really advancing the ball down the field in terms of mindfulness, your understanding, the depth of understanding, and its application. So here's a look ahead for next week. You've got a writing assignment and you've got some readings, and the readings are chapters 5, chapter 7, and chapter 12, mindfulness, connection, and negotiation, and a very short 1 or 2 page reading from the field guide on a science finding. Now, as it relates to the chapter on mindfulness, you're going to be finishing that chapter. We started reading it last week, and as you're reading on, you'll see that it gets into a discussion of the spiral, the demonstration that we did in class. So I think you'll find that to be helpful for deepening your understanding of it. There's no writing assignment associated with chapter 5, but of course we'll be discussing it in class. Now, there is a writing assignment with regard to chapters 7 and chapters 12. The chapter 7 connection chapter does two things. It provides you with information on gratitude practices that you're to try out. So the sooner you read that chapter, the sooner you'll be able to try out those practices. So that's a strong encouragement to at least read those few pages so that you can then begin to pick and choose the ones that you want to practice and do so that you have experience with them when we're in class and when you're writing about them. Additionally, you're going to be reading about a new practice called the connection practice. Importantly, you do not practice the connection practice this week, but you'll be reading about the practice and understanding its sort of fundamentals and why it might be a useful practice, and we'll be doing that practice together in class on Friday. Now, as it relates to chapter 12, negotiation, in addition to learning some fundamental negotiation basics and its tether to mindfulness, you're going to be learning a specific negotiation technique called the core concerns. As with the gratitude practice, the core concerns is intended for you to read about so that you can begin to implement it into your interactions with others. Like many negotiation techniques, it's really a communication technique that happens to be well suited for the negotiation context. So you'll find that you can apply the core concerns pretty much any time in any conversation you have, let alone those that might have a negotiation element to them. Now, as it relates to the practicing for this week, it's really you're on your own. You have learned 3 practices. You're going to be writing about probably one of them in particular. You probably have a sense of what you're going to be writing about because it perhaps is the one that resonates the most with you. So practice that. I encourage you to get as much experience as you can for all the understandable reasons as to why that just might be useful in general. But you're going to be writing to a reader about what the practice is. You're going to be describing the practice. You're going to be describing your experience with the practice. You're going to be discussing how the practice might be helpful with some actual examples. And you're going to be perhaps giving tips in terms of challenges or impediments that they might experience doing the practicing, much like you have experienced perhaps, and how to overcome that. So the more you have experience with that practice, the more authentic and genuine and it'll feel in reading your paper, and that's important. There's also, as I mentioned on the app, the self-guided tab, and that allows you to practice for 4 to 30 minutes. You pick the time that it begins and ends like all the practices begin and end, and then you can, in the silence that follows in between the opening and closing, you can self-guide yourself in the practice of your choosing because you understand the instruction, you've been doing it, and that's actually a very good way to see how well you understand the instruction, to see if you're actually able to guide yourself. And if you as with anything we're learning, if you realize, wait a minute, I don't know what to do next, then that can be a really excellent way of learning and deepening your understanding of it. One day you'll get outside or inside, as you prefer. You'll set the timer for 12 minutes. You'll open up your field guide to a blank page, and you will be drawing something that relates to the connection chapter, and that'll be one of your practices. All right. In closing, D&I, continue to practice D&I, and we discussed and you read about going to the balcony from William Ury, and as you're practicing D&I, notice how you have already been going to the balcony, but now perhaps connect those dots a little bit more fully. And then lastly, the PMP. Remember, if you haven't found the PMP when you leave home to be particularly useful or meaningful, disregard it. If I find things not to be useful after I've given them a try, I disregard them. But we are going to and continue doing them if you find them to be useful. I certainly do it every day and have for a very long time. I find it to be very useful in ways that connect up to a lot of what we're learning. And but we all will be doing the PMP with the leaf. And so this is just a quick reminder. It's an outdoor practice. It's at a spot where you find yourself going every time you come to school, or when you're at work. You can pick one or the other based on where you're gonna, or both, where you're gonna find yourself most for the next until we meet again. But the idea is to, when you get to that spot that you're naturally passing and you stop and you take a slower, deeper breath, you're then going to look around at the natural world, in particular trees or bushes. Notice how the leaves might be in the breeze, and then notice the leaves that are on the tree, notice the leaves that are on the ground. Remind yourself that everything changes, and carry on. All right, I hope this has been helpful. I'm looking forward to meeting many of you this week in our one-to-ones and to seeing all of you on Friday. Wishing you well.